Hi guys, welcome back to the channel for another review. Here we've got the VFC MP9c. Now, the MP9 is pretty much, everyone knows it from TM and WE, who do the little bird or big bird, depending on which one you get. But there aren't many people that talk about, or I mean certainly reviews wise, I don't see many of the VFC MP9 and MP9c. Now I have had a VFC MP9 before, and I must say it wasn't great. I did have quite a few issues with it, but I saw that VFC were making the MP9c, and I was quite interested on seeing if I could get hold of one and see what it was all about. So I managed to pick this one up, and I've had it a while now, but it's the first time I've really got round to doing a review on it or anything like that. Now, the Airsoft replica here, obviously metal slide, metal outer barrel, obviously polymer lower, and you also on the MP9 series have changeable back straps, and there's a unique way of doing that, and I'll show you that as I go into the review. So the VFC version, we've got some sort of standard controls. Slide, catch, and release is ambidextrous. We have a takedown lever, which is only on one side. We have the classic, take the mag out, trigger safety, which you can see if I just push back here, will not enable us to pull the trigger. You have to finger on it. It will hinge that part out of the way for you to be able to pull the trigger. So again, you can just see that part moving out the way to enable that to depress. Magazine catch is reversible, so you can change that over if you want to. So effectively, this can be a pretty much ambidextrous gun. Now, the difference between this one and the TM version is the TM version has the safety catches, which, from what I understand, and I could be wrong here, is an option for the MP9 in real steel. You don't have to have it, but it is an option if you want to have it. Personally, my steel Tokamarui slided MP9, I've removed them because I prefer it without, because they do stick out quite a long way. But as far as I'm aware, with the VFC, they're all non-safety catch models, which is nice. Now, the MP9c is obviously a lot shorter than the normal MP9, being that it is a compact. And it is very small. I mean, if we compare it to, say, like a Glock 26, grab one. So this is a KJ Works Glock 26. And you can see, size comparison-wise, very, very similar to the MP9c. So you can see what kind of market they're going for here with the sort of subcompact models. So very similar size, slightly longer front, but overhang and rear, grip and everything is all very similar. So that's the sort of size you're looking at with this. Now, we'll just have a quick look at the externals. We've got some nice trades here. We can see we've got MP9c, stainless, because the slides on these are all stainless steel and are normally blacked or cerakoted or whatever they use. Obviously, this is not stainless steel. This is a alley slide, aluminium or aluminium alloy zinc metal slide. We can see we've got our Smith & Wesson logo on the side here, which is really nice and crisp. We also have the Smith & Wesson M&P military police logo in the grip here as well. And on the other side, Smith & Wesson emblazoned on the side, and also caution capable of firing with magazine removed. This is not the case obviously with the Airsoft model because the gas is held in there, but this is the same as what they print on the real steel. Obviously on this side you can see we've got our serial number here as well, whereas on the Glocks they tend to have it underneath here. We can see we've got a very, very short Picatinny rail on the front here. You'd be really lucky to squeeze a light on here. It is doable. If we look at the TLR 7, it will just about fit on there with a bit of an overhang. But yeah, pretty much that's the only one I can so far squeeze on here easily. Sights wise, we've obviously got got Novak style rear sight, and all the usual sort of bits and pieces you expect to see on these 9mm emblazoned on the top of the outer barrel. So let's have a quick look at the inside then. So to strip the pistol, you have to cock and lock it back, then rotate the takedown lever 90 degrees, and then release the slide, and that will then slide off, like so. Now, if you have a look at the inside of this one at the moment, I've got some buffers on this one, which is just basically to stiffen up the recoil spring a bit and make it a bit snappier. But if I remove that, as you can see, it's a sort of shiny alloy here. It isn't stainless steel, it is just aluminium. If we look at our outer barrel, we can see it's got a bit of wear on it because it's been used. Now, if we look on the side here, you can see that there's a little lug on the side of the hop unit, which sort of pushes the outer barrel up and out of the way. This is very similar to a Glock system. And the deeper we go into this, you'll start to realise there are quite a few similarities between Glock models and this. If we look at our blowback unit here, you can see we've got standard style nozzle, which is quite large actually, considering. And we also have this little switch here, which if we push that across, engages full auto, or that back onto semi-auto. Now, the real steel versions do not have this switch. This is obviously just something that VFC have engineered. Now, the reason why VFC have engineered this is some of you might already be aware that there were some early VFC Glocks which had this same feature. And this, basically, here, is all Glock. What they've effectively done here is even you can go to the extent of seeing that this little lug here doesn't come far enough back, because it is basically the Glock blowback unit. It is slightly modified to fit into here, but what they've effectively done is just copied all of the Glock stuff and then made it fit into this different slide. So if we look at the lower, you can see as well, this hammer unit in the back is a Glock hammer unit. It's been slightly modified to fit here, but you can see there's a gap behind here because the Glock one is only that long. It would normally extend out further than that. So again, this is just a rip-off of the Glock system. So all they've done is they've just transplanted the Glock system into a different frame, which is a very efficient way of doing it, because at the end of the day, the Glock system is a derivative of the Tokamarui system and works very well. Internally, we can see we've got what I believe to be a stainless steel trigger bar. The hammer, sear, the auto sear and the valve locker, though, are zinc alloy. They are not steel. And the other M&P from VFC I had was the same. Newer Glocks, these are all steel internals, whereas these ones are still of an aluminium construction. You can see our front section is obviously very different to house this sort of 90-degree locking system, and that's how that works. Pops up out of the way and then locks into place. But yeah, other than that, that's the same basically, as we got some slight changes with the trigger bar, spring wheel, and different orientation, but essentially it's all very Glock internals. So let's put the slide back together. So I'll get the outer barrel in, recoil guide rod in, we'll lock that back, and then we can rotate this round. Sometimes you do find this that you won't be able to rotate this fully. What you have to do is just get the barrel all the way back, and you should be able to rotate that round and lock it into place. And that will allow that to go in. Once you've done that, you can release the slide again. And again, trigger-wise, very crisp, very much like the VFC Glocks. If we come back off there, you've got a nice tactile reset. You've got a bit of play initially, a nice firm wall, and as you carry on squeezing, you get a nice definitive click as the ham falls. And again, nice tactile reset. And again, it won't fire unless it is cocked. Unlike the Glocks, the trigger does not stay all the way to the rear, it does come forwards. The only thing I have found is the front sight is a bit of a strange affair because it's a bit wobbly. but it is under spring tension. You can see that moving up and down there, hopefully. But it hasn't gone anywhere. It is locked in place. I'm not quite sure why it's like that, but it just is. So magazine-wise, it comes with this tiny little thing. Again, feed lips are all Glock. Everything's exactly the same. If we remove this base plate, you can see it's the standard VFC affair where there's 3 screws holding this base plate on and your fill valve on the bottom. And that goes in there like so. Now, we can also use full-size versions of that. So the M&P9 mag will go straight in, very much like the Glock system is. You can put that in, and that will function the same, apart from the magazine is obviously hanging down. Now, when we're talking about the magazine well, it's worth mentioning about the interchangeable back straps. Now, this is a feature of the M&P system, in that you have this little lug on the bottom here, which if you rotate, you can then retract that. Now, I think on the real steel, this actually does have like an Allen key or something in the end to help adjust your sights and stuff. But that also locks this rear section on, which we can now rotate and pull out. You can see there's a hole in there, which then locks that in place. And you get different back straps with the pistol. I didn't get any. I've just got the small one, which is here. It's the only one I got with this one because I've obviously got it second hand. And to put those in, you literally have to slide it in at the front there and then rotate it round. You then push the probe back in and then rotate it 90 degrees, and that's now locked back in place. So that's the quick review of the M&P9. Now, I've had it a while, sorry, the M&P9c. I've had it a while and I haven't had any issues with it at all. It's been very good. The only thing I will say is that the serial number did come off at one point, so I've just sort of super glued that back on because it was just glued anyway. Other than that, I haven't had any significant issues with this at all. The only thing I can foresee is that hammer unit is not going to last forever, being that alloy. The Tokamarus have quite a soft hammer spring on the Glocks, which means that even though they're alloy, they do tend to last a while because there's not so much force as the hammer comes forwards. However, you can hear with this one, you can feel it through the frame as that hammer drops. So it's the type of thing that the first thing that's probably going to fail on this is probably going to be the hammer unit, or possibly the hop unit, depending on how much force is involved as the slide comes forwards. So what we'll do now is we'll just quickly check FPS. Now, accuracy-wise, I have shot this a few times. However, obviously it's a very short outer barrel. I have experienced some issues with accuracy. I changed to a different hot rubber a while ago. It didn't really make a big difference. So I've since gone back to the original, just cleaned it, and it's been okay since. So the original hot rubber will obviously do the job. But again, you're not looking at any kind of, super accuracy here, being that it's such a short pistol. So we'll get the chronograph out and we'll quickly check FPS and see what it's pushing. All right, guys, so I've got the chronograph set up. Now, I'm going to test both magazines here. I've got 5 rounds in each. Both have been gassed with normal green gas. So we're going to start off with the small one, see what we get FPS-wise. So, okay. So we've got 269, 267, 265, 267, 265. So again, it's a little low FPS, but it's to be expected with such a short inner barrel. So now let's try the larger magazine to see if there's any difference in FPS here. 274, 279, 271, 274, 269. So you can see a slight increase with the larger gas capacity from the bigger magazine. But, not exactly, groundbreaking when it comes to a difference between the two. Like I said, accuracy is okay. It's a very short, small pistol. But, we're pushing 0.6 joules. So, it's going to be okay for CQB or something like that. But any kind of range is probably going to struggle. That's obviously on a 2.0. So any questions about the M&P9c, fire away in the comments. Personally, I really like the look of the thing. But, I mean, the slide's actually quite heavy for what it is. But the small magazine doesn't really have a lot in it. I mean, you can clear a magazine, but any more than that, you're probably only looking about a magazine and a half before it's really out of puff. Which, is fine. You don't need it to do more than a magazine usually. But unlike the Glock system that, you obviously got the 26 and the 19 and the 17, you can fit the longer magazines and even so go for a 19 magazine and fit a little bumper on the bottom, which sort of just extends the grip a bit. It doesn't look too stupid. Whereas if you put a 17 mag in say a 26, it looks so strange because it's got such a long magazine out of it. And that's effectively what this looks like with the extended magazine or the full size magazine. So personally, I still really like my Glocks, but this is a nice alternative. And I actually really like the M&P9 system. And, quite ingenious of VFC to use the tried and tested Glock system. I just realised I haven't demonstrated fun mode yet either, so I'll do that now. So if we switch that over, again, there is nothing in the magazine, so it's just going to dry fire. So you can see quite a fast rate of fire there. Normally a bit faster with the bigger magazine in. So you can see quite fast. And then switch that back over, back onto semi. So there we go, guys. That's the M&P9c by VFC. I believe it's the Cybergun version, or market by Cybergun. So any questions about the M&P9c from VFC, fire away in the comments. And I'll see you guys next time.